Well, it's Saturday morning. This is New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in beautiful downtown Madera. Welcome to the show today. God, we got a great show today. I've got as my guest someone that has been on the show before. He was here last year. He is John Miller. This young man produced a movie called What is New Thought? And it really got some incredible reviews. I've watched it multiple times, love it. And John's coming back with a new movie, and he just did a screening last night. John, come on the show. Welcome. I'm so glad to have you here today, son.
Well, thanks, Reverend Steve. It's great to be here again. It's great to get to talk with you as usual, and I just appreciate you so much for having me on here today.
Well, thank you. You know, I'd like to take just a real brief moment and have you kind of give your journey to New Thought from, how you got started and how these movie things came about.
Yeah, well, just briefly, I kind of got started off in the self-help books. Like a lot of people, they pick up something, from Wayne Dyer or Anthony Robbins or Deepak Chopra, and I had started reading some of these, and I really felt like there was a spiritual undercurrent to it, but I couldn't place my finger on it. And at the same time, it was really starting to influence my life in a lot of ways and influence my music. I'm also a musician. And so I got interested in trying to figure out where people were, hearing positive messages. Where were people listening to positive music? And I did a little Google search. And lo and behold, I found this guy. His name was David Alt, which I know you know that name.
Yes, I do.
And anyway, he, I found out, was a very popular, positive music artist, and he lived in my own hometown. And he had just started a church. At that time, it was called Conscious Mile Center for Spiritual Living right there in Mobile. And him and I just kind of, cultivated a relationship. And he started to tell me about this thing that we call New Thought, which you've got the different organizations like Unity and Religious Science and Divine Science and Universal Foundation for Better Living. And it just began this whole journey where I got to be curious about how did this thing that we call New Thought get started, and what kind of influences has it had, where did it come from, all of these questions. And, it really started out, I was trying to find the movie that was about the history of New Thought because, there's so many movies like The Secret and What the Bleep Do We Know, and so many movies that a lot of us have seen in that general theme of spirituality, but they never really mention New Thought or New Thought history. And so it kind of started there, and it's brought me to putting this movie together and actually taking it around the world.
John, that's great. Your first movie, What is New Thought? It's probably one of the best, maybe the best that I've seen as far as laying out New Thought, giving a history and being open to all the different New Thought denominations, sects, or whatever it is you want to call it. And the thing for me that I find so exciting about the work that you're doing, John, one is you're a young fella, and a lot of people in New Thought are of my generation, a little bit older, and I'm glad to see younger people getting involved, getting excited, and wanting to do things and carrying this message forward. And the other thing is that you're bringing the message from, it's not out of the closet because we've always been there, but out into the light, so to speak, because at one time, New Thought was a very, very well-known philosophy in the American culture. I think I mentioned to you before that prior to World War II, about 10% of our population associated themselves on some level with New Thought, and then we just kind of faded from, the consciousness, and yet we have our philosophy is so pervasive throughout so much of society, people have no idea that there is a spiritual place where they can go, that there are spiritual underpinnings and spiritual principles behind this, a lot of this positive consciousness stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think your movie was dead on, and it was great. And like I say, I've had a couple copies. I've shown it and lent it out to people, and I encourage people to buy it. But you've got a new movie out now.
I do. I have a new movie. It's called A New Thought, A New You, and it kind of branched off from this whole idea of, New Thought is so big. It was so hard to cover as much as I wanted to cover in the original film, and ended up with all of these wonderful personal stories that people told about how they first got into New Thought and how they used the principles to make a difference in their lives. And so it kind of grew out of my desire to share some of those stories to put together another film. And so we took some footage that was great stuff that we didn't get to use in the first film, and shot some new footage to go along with it. And we got a lot of wonderful stories in there about people's personal transformations. One of the really popular moments of the last movie, What Is New Thought, was whenever Della Reese
Yes.
was telling her story about she had an aneurysm while she was performing on the Tonight Show and almost died.
Mm-hmm.
And she was told by a team of doctors that she wouldn't live, that she would never be the same. And she held tightly to those principles that she could heal and she could, recover. And it was one of the most powerful moments in the movie. And getting to watch that with audiences, it made me realize just how powerful these personal testimonies are, and made me, kind of inspired to want to put this movie out there.
Well, that's so very true, John. Today, oftentimes in many New Thought centers around the country, it's a lot of times the focus seems to be on abundance and in creating joy and happiness in your life, and that's all very important. I don't mean to marginalize that, but we got our start as a spiritual healing philosophy. That is the underpinnings of where New Thought came from. And there's just so much, there's so much there beyond just the prosperity consciousness gospel, if you will, that New Thought has to offer. This spiritual connection to the divine, the understanding of the presence of God being everywhere, being manifest through me, and all that unfolds. And oftentimes people don't understand that until they hear testimonies, hear people come forward with their stories where they can relate to it on something other than just like a Sunday morning service or a classroom environment type of thing. And this is good stuff, John.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it does. I think whenever you see these stories and you hear people telling their stories, it sort of reminds us of how powerful this teaching really is. And I think you're right on as far as a lot of the early New Thought teachers. They got into this because they needed a healing. A lot of your early teachers, they were in a point of desperation. They didn't know where to turn, and they ended up in one way or another coming across these principles and putting them to use. And so I think this movie is going to remind a lot of people, the power that this movement really does have.
It is absolutely incredible. There was a fella, Frederick Bales. I don't know if you are familiar with him, but he wrote a book. He kind of separated from Holmes back in the late 40s, early 50s, and he wrote a book for basically his own church on science of mind, and it was a teaching book. It had lessons in it and stuff, and it was on treatment and everything. Ultimately, he and Holmes reconciled their differences, and when Bales retired, Holmes bought the rights to the book, and it's still available. But the important thing about this fellow Bales was when he was a young man, he was in college, he'd been diagnosed with diabetes. And that was back in the day before there was insulin. And he started doing research, kind of like you, finding, looking for where this positive consciousness thing came from, only he didn't have the advantage of the internet and stuff like that, but he began to,
Right.
to seek these things out, and he found a way to make that connection with the absolute, with spirit, with what we call God, and created a demonstration, a manifestation of healing within his own life. And he was hooked from that point. And then he went on, he was from England, and he came to the States, and he went on and he became a religious science minister. Getting our young people to embody the understanding of this is, and the power is just incredible. as Holmes used to, or actually Troward used to say, being able to look a discordant fact in the face and see the absolute behind it. So looks like we got our first call for our first break, so we'll take a break at this point, and I'll reconnect when we come back.
This segment brought to you by Great Harvest Bread Company, where fresh milled 100% whole grain flour and baking from scratch is our way of life. Great Harvest Bread Company, Champlain and Perrin.
Open house this Sunday, 1578 North Glen near McKinley, across from Fresno City College. If you've been on your job or in your industry for a year, you can buy this home for under $800 a month. Stop by our open house Sunday at 1. Go to MikeBriggsProperties.com for details.
For Italian cuisine, you've grown up knowing that DeCicco's in Clovis has the best. Now, for grown-ups, DeCicco's Lounge at Clovis and 4th in downtown Clovis for your after-work relaxation and all of your special events needs. DeCicco's Clovis Lounge.
Spinners Records 2015 concert series at the Waters Auditorium kicks off with Queen Nation and Space Oddity in a salute to Queen and David Bowie Saturday night, January 17th at 7:30. Tickets available at Spinners Records, Arlington, Lucerne, Tuesday through Saturday from 11 to 6. Online at spinnersrecords.com. Phone the Warner's Ticket Office at 559-264-2848. Queen Nation and Space Oddity salute Queen and David Bowie Saturday, January 17th at 7:30 at the Warner's Auditorium, Fulton and Tuolumne. A Spinners concert presentation.
Future Prospects Baseball invites you to visit their state-of-the-art facility. Our coaches have years of professional experience that can help you improve your baseball or softball skills in private or group lessons. Drop by for the day or become a monthly or yearly member, or join one of our age-appropriate travel teams. Bring your future prospects by weekdays from 3 to 9 p.m. or noon to 5 on weekends. Future Prospects Baseball, 5125 North Gates, just north of Shaw Avenue, or call 274-9930. Find us on the web at futureprospectscentral.com.
Are you currently shopping for solar? Give Solar Negotiators a call. You see, what they do is they fill downtime at a reduced rate to make sure that you always get the best deal. Don't find out later that you could have bought your solar for thousands of dollars less. Call Solar Negotiators.
If you're looking to go solar with confidence and have someone represent you in this transaction, give Solar Negotiators a call at 844-OWN-SOLAR or visit solarnegotiators.com.
When someone you love needs more assistance in daily life than you can offer, think Magnolia Park Assisted Living in Visalia. Serving the Valley for more than a decade, Magnolia Park is a life-affirming community, offering health care on a personalized level, a proactive lifestyle suited to individual ability along with spiritual enrichment. Residents and their families are cared for with respect and knowledge of aging, infirmity, or memory loss. Our professional staff believes every resident has the right to love, laughter, compassion, and most of all, dignity. Schedule your tour today at MagnoliaParkAssistedLiving.net.
You have sleep questions? Mattressland Sleep Fit has real answers. Oh, I feel like people need a map to find their way around some mattress stores.
No, what people actually need is BedFit. It's a diagnostic system that maps your body for you. It measures your height, your weight, your distribution of weight. It actually measures your lumbar curve and how flexible that is, along with a little bit of pain questions, and we're going to find the right fit for you.
The right fit for me?
The right fit for you.
Shouldn't have bought that GPS.
Yeah, it was probably a bad move on your part.
Mattressland Sleep Fit. The right bed, the right experience, the right price.
This segment is brought to you by BBO's Vintage Boutique in Fresno's historic Tower District.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back. It's New Thought Talk. I'm the Reverend Steve Walling. Our guest for this show today is the director, producer, and musician, John Miller, and we're talking about his new movie, A New Thought, A New You. And right now we're going to cut away to a short clip that John sent me on his movie.
New Thought isn't actually anything new. It's ancient wisdom, but it's that you and I individually have a new thought about ourselves. A new thought meaning a shift in consciousness, in personal awareness, in terms of the way in which we relate to the world.
I really felt like I was at a crossroads in my life where God was saying, I've carried you as far as I'm going to, and if you don't do something, I'm going to cut you loose.
I had become tired of every time I went to church, somebody explaining to me that I was nothing, I had never been anything, and I couldn't be anything.
I went and I got so excited. It was such a positive, joyful message. And when I left, I felt so energized. I really felt great.
I always called myself saved. I got saved when I was about 5 years old, but I never felt safe from God or from the devil. And both of them were out to get me.
I was homeless at one point. I was in poverty for a very long time, but I realized I was fighting my own belief system. I had to get my mind around the reality that this could happen. It could happen for me.
I said, look, I know what you guys believe. I know the box you want me to live in. I know the limitations you think I'm going to have. But I'm reading these books, and these books say there's a part of me that's not sick. And what these books say is that if I can get in touch with that part of me, if I can own that who I really am is that part of me that's not sick, the part of me that's not afraid, what these books say is that from there, I can learn to create reality rather than face reality.
I've heard so many times new people coming into New Thought saying, I'm so glad to have found you because I have felt this way all my life.
Man, a new thought, a new you, and that is a absolute truth. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that clip. John, tell us about this idea, and I love this idea, a new thought and a new you. It's a great title, but give us the background to that concept, if you will.
Yeah, well, let me say this about the actual title. I had several people... because whenever you go to these different centers, people are either a member of the Unity Church, they're a member of the Religious Science Church or Divine Science or whatever group that they're in. And, they're not always as familiar with New Thought as a whole, the movement as a whole. And so I had several people ask me, why is it called New Thought? We're talking about ancient wisdom. There's nothing new about, this thing that you call New Thought. And so I thought it'd be really cool to go and kind of create this title, A New Thought, A New You, because that's what we're really talking about when we talk about New Thought. We're talking about a new thought inside of each and every one of us individually that creates a new reality. And so I'm hoping that that'll maybe serve as a bridge to understand that a little bit more. And this movie, like I said earlier, is really a lot more of people's personal transformations, and I'm hoping that it'll inspire other people to have similar experiences.
Oh, that's great. New Thought, the phrase New Thought, you can find it in the early writings, prior to the 20th century, from some of our New Thought pioneers, if you will. But even today, though, you're right. People don't, they think New Thought as if it's something new on the scene. It's just like this new discovery. And in truth, it's about you, the individual, having that new thought that allows you to really create a new you. That's why I really like the title of your movie. And yes, we have many different names under which New Thought falls. And, your divine science, religious science, and on and on and on. But the thing is, there's a basic underpinning, a recognition of our immanent and indwelling divine God, Creator, Christ consciousness, our connection with Source, the response of the law to mind, and all this, it all comes together. And when we develop this idea of I can have a new reality by changing my thinking, and I can change my life, and you get this word out with these movies. I know within the New Thought community, What is New Thought was well received. Are you getting a lot of airplay, if you will, outside the New Thought community?
I've had some, it's really been on the churches and centers to kind of get the word out about these movies. I've had several people that are within New Thought churches and centers tell me that they took this movie, What is New Thought, and they showed it to their family or their friends, and I heard so many people tell me that their family and their friends finally understood what it was that they were learning, and what it was that they found about New Thought, and how it was really it was really connected to things that they were already familiar with. Like we mentioned earlier, self-help type books and stuff. And so I've heard a lot of stories like that. In fact, this movie that we showed, the new one that we showed last night, we had our first screening last night. I had the minister there, Sherry Quander, tell me that she wouldn't hesitate to show her mom the movie because she's been in religious science for 20 or 30 years, and she still finds herself trying to explain to her mom what it is. But she felt like through movies like this that it can help kind of bridge that gap.
And that is the power of the media getting this word out, because it's non-threatening. It's not like someone has somebody in front of them that's preaching to them per se. It's extremely informative, and it's well produced, and you've got good spokespeople, that you've interviewed there. They're articulate. They know their topic. They convey it very well, and they are seemingly likable, and a lot of them are because I know them. But and this is great. But because we have an audience, what can people do, in your opinion, to get a greater word out about what is New Thought and the second movie, A New Thought, New You? What is it that director, producer John Miller would like to see as far as getting this movie out?
Well, first and foremost, I would encourage people to just share what it is, personally, that's made a difference in their lives with New Thought. Over and beyond the movie itself, I think we need more people that are willing to talk openly about how New Thought has really affected their lives. As far as the movie itself, I think word of mouth has been great, and I think that the biggest thing is these movies are good for getting our stories across, getting our history across, and reminding us about what is so powerful about this teaching. So they're more than welcome to get on social media or word of mouth and spread the word.
Now you have speaking of social media, you've got a Facebook page for What is New Thought. But you also have What is New Thought it is available on Amazon, isn't it?
It is. What is New Thought is available on Amazon. And you mentioned earlier, or asked me earlier about have people outside of the movement gotten to see it. And I think a lot of people have through Amazon and through iTunes. And it's been good feedback. We've had several people that are kind of on the fringe and not as familiar with New Thought, but they're familiar with some of the terms and some of the authors and speakers, and so through that, we've kind of made a connection.
Great. Well, you had some great people, like I say, in the first movie. You had Reverend Mary Tumpkin in the first movie, and she has since made her transition. She was the president of UFBL, and just recently, Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman has made her transition, and she was the founder of UFBL. But these are pioneer people, and because you had Mary on, some of her thoughts and her consciousness are there to be shared with future generations, and this is important. And getting this word out. But I got to ask you, have you had any pushback from people that have found this to be not in their liking, so to speak?
I've had some pushback, more from a personal level, not so much. The only pushback I've had have been from people that I have known, and I understand that, and really and truly, I think it speaks to the importance of why I wanted to make these films, because I think there is a lot of confusion out there as to some people would say that this contradicts Christianity or contradicts some kind of traditional spiritual path. And I would say, for me personally, I use it alongside my own personal spirituality. It's not something that that I feel like takes away from my spirituality. It's something that I've added to my spiritual walk, and so for me, it places that much more importance on why this message needs to be out there. Maybe get rid of some of that confusion, hopefully.
Boy, I do understand that, John, and I tell people, they ask me about what it is that you teach and stuff, and we explain to them through our center that, we don't take away from your personal beliefs. You don't have to give up a particular belief system, whatever it is that you're tied to. But we do teach you principles that if you put them into practice, you will change your life. And seeing that light go on in their minds, and seeing them actually embody it, and the light go on in their heart, if you will, is very exciting, because as we watch people change and grow spiritually, as they make this connection, oftentimes I have people that come, they work with me, and then they go back to wherever their home place of worship is, and they take the message back there, and it's just, you watch things blossom, and it's incredible. We're going to have to go to our second break, so I will reconnect with you when we come back. Take care.
This segment brought to you by Lomac Winery. For wine tasting in Fresno's own wine country, go to Lomac Winery.
Can't find a copier or printer that fits your needs? Are the costs for printing just too high? A+ Business Systems focuses on what you need. A+ Business Systems will reduce downtime with automated alerts via email, notifying us when your printer is low on supplies, all for low, affordable monthly costs. Have you ever had a desk looking like this? A+ Business Systems will set up paperless document management software where you store every important document. With A+, there's no worry about digging through archived documents. Our electronic filing system provides the speed and efficiency to search and retrieve documents to meet the demands of modern-day businesses. Learn more about A+ Business Systems, software, services, and more at apluscopiers.net or call us at 559-442-3564.
Spinners Records 2015 concert series at the Waters Auditorium kicks off with Queen Nation and Space Oddity in a salute to Queen and David Bowie, Saturday night, January 17th at 7:30. Tickets available at Spinners Records, Olive in Lucerne, Tuesday through Saturday from 11 to 6. Online at spinnersrecords.com. Phone the Warner's ticket office at 559-264-2848. Queen Nation and Space Oddity salute Queen and David Bowie, Saturday, January 17th at 7:30 at the Waters Auditorium, Fulton and Tuolumne. A Spinners concert presentation.
Open house this Sunday, 815 East McKinley, near Maroa in the Tower District. If you've been on your job or in your industry for a year, you can buy this home for under $2,000 per month, and it includes an apartment that pays half your payment. Stop by our open house Sunday at 1. Go to MikeBriggsProperties.com for details.
You enter this door with expired tags. Beyond is another dimension, a dimension of regulations, a dimension of long waits. You have reached the registration zone. What looks like an ordinary shop is actually Mitchell Smog, located in the heart of the Tower District, a few minutes from the DMV. Mitchell Smog offers your vehicle a STAR-certified smog inspection. So remember Mitchell Smog when you need to pass through the registration zone.
When someone you love needs more assistance in daily life than you can offer, think Magnolia Park Assisted Living in Visalia. Serving the Valley for more than a decade, Magnolia Park is a life-affirming community, offering healthcare on a personalized level, a proactive lifestyle suited to individual ability along with spiritual enrichment. Residents and their families are cared for with respect and knowledge of aging, infirmity, or memory loss. Our professional staff believes every resident has the right to love, laughter, compassion, and most of all, dignity. Schedule your tour today at MagnoliaParkAssistedLiving.net.
In 1985, Larry Korth set out to help his friends, family, and community find affordable ways to buy a home or a business property. 30 years later, Mid-Valley Financial is the premier mortgage banker in the Central Valley. The professional staff at Mid-Valley will find the best mortgage products for your family. Mid-Valley Financial takes great pride in being the Central Valley's local lender. Visit us at midvalleyfinancial.com.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back. It's New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling, and my guest today is director-producer John Miller, and we're talking about his new movie, New Thought, New You, and the movie that he did previously, What is New Thought? And John, you mentioned earlier that you premiered this last night for the first time, and it was well received. Where's it going from here?
Well, yeah, last night was kind of our screening in front of our very kind hometown folk here. Next Friday, we'll be at Unity of Pensacola, and that's kind of our extended family over there across the bridge. And then we're having our official release starting the weekend of February 6th. And so you'll start to see more churches and centers picking the movie up. I know there's several listed on the website at anewthoughtanewYou.com. And in fact, I've got a couple other new screenings coming in that I've yet to put on the website. And there's one coming up in July that I'm really excited about. It's going to be in Phoenix, Arizona in July as a part of the International New Thought Alliance Congress. And it's the 100th Congress.
Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing, and I'm very honored and thrilled that they're gonna show the movie there.
That's great. That's Blaine Mays is down there with that organization, and they've got some good stuff going on. Now, doesn't the Divine Science organization have their convention, their annual meeting there at the same week, just prior to the INTA meet?
They do, and I'm not sure on the schedule. I know this past year it was a few days leading up to the INTA Congress, so it was really cool because you had a lot of people that were there for one or the other, and they got to meet up. And I got to interview the new president of the Divine Science Federation for this new movie, Tim Stewart, and so he's in the movie, and it's a really cool energy whenever you get those groups together.
Yeah, that's, to see, and we've talked, my dream, my goal, and I when I met with Ken Gordon up in Canada, we talked about this idea of a unified consciousness. We teach oneness, we teach unity, but sometimes we get caught up in our own little sects, our own little, what I often refer to as tribalism, my center versus your center or whatever. But any of these events that bring multiple organizations together, and that doesn't mean that we've got to lose our identity necessarily or whatever, but to share, to compare, to just take this energy and let it build, I think is great. So yeah, that's good. I really am looking forward to seeing that interview.
I think it's really cool whenever because at the INTA you have all these different groups that are represented, and it's really neat to me because you can really hear in the language and in the way that they present what it is that they're teaching. You can hear some of the nuances and differences, but they're all teaching the same principles, the same ideas, and so it's. You're right. It is really cool to have that when they come together.
Yeah, and I think although Divine Science is not necessarily real well known, Emmett Fox is, and he, the AA organization has connections back to Emmett Fox, and he, if I remember correctly, he was a Divine Science minister, and back in the day he used to fill Carnegie Hall with several thousand people every Wednesday night. Pretty powerful message that he brought to the world, and it's still, you can still get Emmett's books, and it's still used throughout many of the different New Thought denominations for teaching purposes. So having this stuff, being able to come together, sharing our resources, if you will, is good.
Yeah.
Also, looks like we may have you out here at the end of March in our neck of the woods. You're going to come out. Now, you're doing a screening here in California. You're going to be in Riverside with Al Yankee's organization down there. Where else are you going to be when you come to California?
Well, like you said, I'm going to be at Riverside. I think the plan is, I think I'm actually going to be speaking. I got to go check my email again, but I think I'm going to be speaking that Sunday morning, and then we're going to have a screening later in the day. and we're going to be having a screening out there with you, and working on something in Burbank, and we might have one or two others. But yeah, I want to bring it to California and bring the film over there. There's so many great centers and churches, and love to share it with as many as we can.
Burbank, my old stomping grounds. Man, I grew up in that part of the world, so that's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of good people down there in that area. So okay.
Well, last time we went to Burbank, we did a screening, and it was at, of course, Harry Morgan Moses' church. He's in both of the movies, and I got a phone call or an email the day of the screening, and it said, hey, just want to make sure that we're still on for tonight, because we're going to bring Reverend Della, her Wednesday night group out to watch the screening. And so Reverend Della Reese came out to the screening that we had.
That's great, and you've got her in both movies, and we shared a little bit earlier the powerful story she had about her event on the Tonight Show. There's a lot of people don't realize that she is a minister in the New Thought teaching and philosophy, and she has a very strong church down there is it West Hollywood or is it LA? I'm not familiar exactly.
It's in Inglewood.
Inglewood.
And I'm not sure what section that is, but I know. Yeah, she's had that church, and I think they've moved around a little bit, but 30 years I think they've had that church.
So
it's pretty amazing. That's right. Yeah,
no, that's great stuff.
Yeah, it's just started from a small ministry that she held in her own living room, and it just grew into where they had to start a church and started their own services and everything, and that branched out from her working underneath Johnny Coleman, who we mentioned earlier.
Right.
And
now,
and of course,
is she still connected with UFBL, or is she independent now?
I think they are connected as a UFBL church, if I'm not mistaken. I think they are.
Oh, that's great. We're everywhere if people just stop and open their eyes to see the light that we bring to the world, and it is a wonderful light. It's a good light. So for my friend John Miller, after we get through all the tours and stuff with this movie, do you have a new project on the agenda?
I do. Actually, it's funny. Last year I kind of started off in a few different directions, and so we're doing. I'm of course wrapped up with this movie and finishing it up to make it ready for the big release in a couple of weeks. But beyond that, I've already started on a new project for release in the fall, and it's all about cigar box guitars.
Yes, we talked about that a while back, and that's that's great. There's a young fellow out here in the Central Valley area. His name is Lance Canales, and I've had the opportunity to sit and listen to him. He's very good. He does blues, and he plays one of those. It's just And I remember as a kid. Now I'm old enough to remember this as a kid, but seeing some of the old blues guys from the South and stuff like that. And you're a musician. As a matter of fact, the last time we had you on the show, we did a clip of one of your songs. You're very good, John. I like your stuff.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's funny. I thought this would be a great opportunity to kind of bridge my interest in music and my interest in documentaries. And my dad was the first one to really take an interest in these cigar box guitars. And I couldn't believe it. My dad had never played a guitar in his life. And here he was, he had built a guitar. And it sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into this, and just started from a curiosity, and so I'm looking forward to releasing that later this year.
Well, we may just have to put it in the agenda of the screening, at least one cigar box guitar performance.
There you go.
Yeah, no, that's great. Let me we'll kind of sidetrack on this a bit. In your working on this cigar box guitar movie, what's the genesis? How did they come about? Do you know?
Well, if you go back, and you don't have to go very far back, but there used to not be these guitar companies that created in mass production all of these instruments. And so, you know, it used to be a little bit harder to get your hands on an instrument. And, you know, people back, you know, like I said, you don't have to go that far back, but people used to not waste anything. And so they would look at things that they weren't using anymore, and they'd say, what could I do with this? And people would say, well, I can make an instrument out of it. And that's really the genesis of it. It started being a real trend back in the 1800s, whenever people would start publishing these plans for how to take a cigar box and build it into a guitar. And it just kind of took off from there. And you know, over the years, things kind of changed, and you had these massive guitar manufacturing companies that would, you know, build off-the-rack guitars.
Right.
And, you know, nowadays you can go to, you know, any mid to major city, and they've got Guitar Center, they've got all of these stores that you could just go and, but we're starting to see a little bit of a trend where people are going back to building their own instruments, because it's, you know, there's a certain connection and a bond that you can have there that you don't necessarily have whenever you've got just a guitar that came off the rack and there's no telling where all the parts were built and where it came from.
That's true. It's good. We're going to cut away here to our last break in the show, John. When we come back, I want to just kind of touch on that a little bit, and then we'll work into our closing. So we'll see you when we come back.
This segment brought to you by Great Harvest Bread Company, where fresh milled 100% whole grain flour and baking from scratch is our way of life. Great Harvest Bread Company, Champlain and Perrin.
Open house this Sunday, 1578 North Glen near McKinley, across from Fresno City College. If you've been on your job or in your industry for a year, you can buy this home for under $800 a month. Stop by our open house Sunday at 1. Go to MikeBriggsProperties.com for details.
For Italian cuisine, you've grown up knowing that DeCicco's in Clovis has the best. Now, for grown-ups, DeCicco's Lounge at Clovis and 4th in downtown Clovis for your after-work relaxation and all of your special events needs. DeCicco's Clovis Lounge.
Spinners Records 2015 concert series at the Waters Auditorium kicks off with Queen Nation and Space Oddity in a salute to Queen and David Bowie Saturday night, January 17th at 7:30. Tickets available at Spinners Records, Arlington, Lucerne, Tuesday through Saturday from 11 to 6. Online at spinnersrecords.com. Phone the Warner's Ticket Office at 559-264-2848. Queen Nation and Space Oddity salute Queen and David Bowie Saturday, January 17th at 7:30 at the Waters Auditorium, Fulton and Tuolumne. A Spinners concert presentation.
Future Prospects Baseball invites you to visit their state-of-the-art facility. Our coaches have years of professional experience that can help you improve your baseball or softball skills in private or group lessons. Drop by for the day or become a monthly or yearly member, or join one of our age-appropriate travel teams. Bring your future prospects by weekdays from 3 to 9 p.m. or noon to 5 on weekends. Future Prospects Baseball, 5125 North Gates, just north of Shaw Avenue, or call 274-9930. Find us on the web at futureprospectscentral.com.
Are you currently shopping for solar? Give Solar Negotiators a call. You see, what they do is they fill downtime at a reduced rate to make sure that you always get the best deal. Don't find out later that you could have bought your solar for thousands of dollars less. Call Solar Negotiators.
If you're looking to go solar with confidence and have someone represent you in this transaction, give Solar Negotiators a call at 844-OWN-SOLAR or visit solarnegotiators.com.
When someone you love needs more assistance in daily life than you can offer, think Magnolia Park Assisted Living in Visalia. Serving the Valley for more than a decade, Magnolia Park is a life-affirming community, offering healthcare on a personalized level, a proactive lifestyle suited to individual ability along with spiritual enrichment. Residents and their families are cared for with respect and knowledge of aging, infirmity, or memory loss. Our professional staff believes every resident has the right to love, laughter, compassion, and most of all, dignity. Schedule your tour today at MagnoliaParkAssistedLiving.net.
You have sleep questions? Mattress Land Sleep Fit has real answers. Oh, I feel like people need a map to find their way around some mattress stores.
No, what people actually need is BedFit. It's a diagnostic system that maps your body for you. It measures your height, your weight, your distribution of weight. It actually measures your lumbar curve and how flexible that is, along with a little bit of pain questions, and we're going to find the right fit for you.
The right fit for me?
The right fit for you.
Shouldn't have bought that GPS.
Yeah, it was probably a bad move on your part.
Mattress Land Sleep Fit. The right bed, the right experience, the right price.
This segment is brought to you by BBO's Vintage Boutique in Fresno's historic Tower District.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back. It's New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling. My guest for this show is the director-producer John Miller from What is New Thought, the movie, and A New Thought, A New You. And we have just blown through this show. I was telling John early on, it goes pretty fast. And here we are. We're at the last segment. John, so we've got the movie. You're doing your screening. When will this movie actually be released where people can purchase it?
Soon, but the answer is I don't know just yet. I want to give these churches and centers a chance to do their screenings first, and so we're gonna give it maybe a couple months and just let it kind of be seen by some of the churches and centers that are interested in doing their screenings, and then we'll make it available to the general public. But I was kind of floored by how well the last movie was received. It ended up being seen by so many different people, and by the time some of the churches and centers actually got word of it, a lot of their congregants had already seen it. So, so we're going to try to give them a little head start this time.
Oh, that's good. I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I'm looking forward to having it available to people because these movies, along with some of the other things, they're powerful tools that those of us that are concerned about New Thought, that feel that it is a philosophy for our time. I believe this, that there's so much what I'll call chaos going on in the world, that we bring a concept of a divine oneness, a unity of all things. And all of a sudden it's like a game changer. If people can get that message, if they can get that new thought, if you will, we're no longer me versus somebody. We're all the I amness, and that is so incredible, And I want to thank you for what you're doing. I think it's incredible. I wish you the very best of success with this, and I'm looking forward to seeing new thought things coming from our director, producer John Miller. This is good. So
Absolutely,
one of these
and
days,
I'm looking forward to meeting you in person here in March. So I can't wait.
Well, be careful what you wish for. It's going to be fun, John. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person too. I've enjoyed our discussions, our talk, and I appreciate you taking time to be on the show today. Like I say, I believe in the work that you're doing, and I love the movies that you've produced. So I want to thank you, and we'll be seeing you come March, and I'll be talking to you before that, my friend. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope you enjoyed seeing John today. His movies, I can't say enough about them. I have screened them in my center in Madera. I have shared them with other centers, and they've been screened here in the California Central Valley area. And people that have seen them have found them not only to be educational and entertaining, but it opens them up. There's a dialogue that we need to have with people from other philosophies. They need to understand that we're not a threat, and we don't see them as a threat, that we can reach a commonality of spirituality between us, because we believe in this oneness. God, I don't care what name you put on it, God is just God. And so this is powerful work this young man's doing. He's not the only one, but he's definitely putting out a good product. And I hope you've enjoyed seeing him on the show today. And I want to take this time now, as I do during the show, to invite you, if you have never experienced New Thought, well, one, check Amazon out and look for What is New Thought, the movie. But two, you can go online today and there is a link that you can go to that is called newthoughtlibrary.com. And at newthoughtlibrary.com, you have the opportunity to select the link that will take you to New Thought authors or to books. These are books and authors that are early pioneers in New Thought, the early teachers that laid out the foundations and the fundamentals of the things that we teach today. And there's some powerful stuff there. You know, we talked about, John and I talked about change your thinking, change your life. That material is there, and you can find it. And you don't need necessarily to be at any one particular place. You just need to be able to sit down in front of a computer, go to a link, spend some time. Do your prayer work, do your meditation, read some of this stuff. See if it doesn't resonate with you. See if a new light doesn't open up within your heart and your mind that allows you to see a better life for yourself, because that is the power of New Thought. You know, a new thought, a new way of life is so true. And so you can go to newthoughtlibrary.com, and there you'll find these books. And also, if you're somewhere and you're going, okay, you know, I like this stuff. I'd like to maybe go to a church or a center. And a lot of times we don't refer to our centers as churches anymore. We call them centers because we see ourselves as a center of spirituality that are open to all faiths. So you can go to something called findacenter.com or .org, and there, anywhere in the world, if there is a center there, and this organization that posts this, Serving New Thought, knows about this center, there will be a link to information where you can at least mail them, contact them. There may be an email. There may be a web page. If a particular center has chosen to support their listing in the Serving New Thought organization for a nominal tithe, they can go through, they can update their information so that you have even more information available to you. But if not, you can still find the nearest center to you that you can reach out and touch, and maybe it's not so far. Maybe you can get in the car and go. Maybe it might be an email conversation. Maybe it might be just a web page. You can always contact me via our web page for our center, which is maderasac.com. We have a link there. You can go there and you can listen to our Sunday lessons going back. I think we have an archive of a couple of years. You can also find there a link, a Facebook link. You can look us up on Facebook. You can look me up on Facebook, Steve Walling on Facebook, and you'll find it there. Also, New Thought Talk with Rev Steve is on Facebook, and there you can find archives for this show. You can go back, and some of the people we were talking about, Terry McBride, our earlier interview with John Miller is there. Many other just incredible interviews and some teaching. If you want to hear a little bit more from things that I've shared with people, it's there for you. And of course, there is somewhere down at the bottom of the page, there is a donation link where you can make a PayPal donation to help support our ministry. We reach out to a greater world to create a greater good, and you are invited to be a part of that on a financial level. God gives to us as we give to others. We keep our abundance in circulation, and this is an opportunity for you to share your abundance, your good, to see that this good goes out to a greater world. It doesn't get any better than that, my friends. I want to thank you for being with us today. I've enjoyed having our guest. I've enjoyed sharing with you, and I look forward to seeing you when I come back. And so let me tell you that the light of God surrounds you. Absolutely. That the love of God enfolds you, no matter what the circumstances are in your life. That the presence of God watches over you and the power of God protects you. Because wherever you are, God is. And if God is, and God is there, all is well, my friends. Go forth. Have a great week. I'll see you when we come back. Love to you all.
This segment brought to you by Lomac Winery.